Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And very good morning. Thank you to Mr. Chairperson, distinguished guests and speakers. My name is Dr. Ashraf. I am from Olive Jati. We sell olive oil, as the name suggests. So, I would like to first apologize because my presentation will be a bit sidetracked from the previous speakers. I will start off with the cardiovascular diseases threat on our global scales, and then what do extra virgin olive oil have a place in facing this threat? And then, as a seller of olive oil, what are the unique challenges that you are facing when marketing extra virgin olive oil in Malaysia? Then only I will jump back into the tracks in terms of digital aspect. What are the digital aspects in our business that we implement, and does it work? Which one work and which one do not work for us at least? So, of course, I think most of you are aware that CVD is still the leading cause of death, both globally and in Malaysia. Dyslipidemia, hypertension, diabetes, obesity, and overweight are among the established risk factors. The current projection, the estimated CVD death to be caused is expected around 35.6 million by 2050, the next 25 years. So, where do dietary can make a change? So, dietary already been recognized as the important modifiable risk factor when dealing with the CVD trend. So, in respect to olive oil, there is a quite established data supporting the effects of olive oil to prevent CVD. There is a famous pre-method study back in Spain where the CVD risk reduced down to 31%. This is another study also in Spain, the observational study. The risk was calculated at 44% reduction. And of course, the overall death is dropped to 26%. Another study in different population, the last one in the Mediterranean population, this one is from US population, so it's not common for them to consume olive oil. So the risk of CVD from this population dropped 14%, and coronary heart disease dropped to 18%. So these are our flagship products, Zoetina Prestige. We are the first and only extra virgin olive oil in this country that have done the preclinical data last year, Alhamdulillah, with the Faculty of Medicine, UNIZA. And these are a bit sneak up of our data. Successfully downregulated the LDL and upregulated the HDL level from the lipid profile, and also considered safe based on the liver function test. And of course, we also did the histopathology, but unfortunately, the slides doesn't coming through. Maybe some hiccup over there, but yes, we already completed on that part. So now we already know that we have the burden on the CVD, and we know that the olive oil can help in mitigating the threat. What are, in terms of business, that being a challenge for us in marketing olive oil in this country? Because olive oil is coming from Mediterranean, which is not common for Malaysians, regardless of ethnic, and what are the aspects that are unique and challenging for us. So these are the 4 points that I would like to share with you today. So the first part will be the quality assessment and appreciation. Now, I believe many of you here already heard about olive oil, but I would say that the level of understanding of the product very poor. In fact, I would say that even for a person that have been consuming olive oil for the past decade, 95% of them do not really understand the taste of extra virgin olive oil. So, when we talk about olive oil, there are few grades, right? There are ordinary olive oil, there are extra virgin olive oil, there are virgin olive oil, there is Lampante olive oil. Anyone ever heard of it? Lampante? No, eh? So Lampante is an Italian word for lamb oil. It's not edible, it's not fit for human consumption, but has been sold in Malaysia today. And then there are also pomace olive oil, the refined pomace olive oil, and so on and so forth. So the level of understanding is very poor in Malaysia. Even though, in terms of the standards, it's well regulated, well established, and freely accessible in the online, provided you have the internet. All right. So when we talk about the standard, the practical tools for the customer, for the consumer markets are the organoleptic assessment. Organoleptic stands for, anyone? Any volunteer? So basically, when we say organoleptic, it's about taste and smell. So it's a practical approach, a practical tools for a customer to understand, to assess the quality of olive oil from their sensory, provided you truly understand how the genuine extra virgin olive oil tastes like or smell like. Alright. Again, Lampante olive oil already been marketed as EVO in Malaysia for quite some time, and I would say the percentage of the Lampante olive oil in Malaysia is more than 80%, actually. So another challenge that we facing is that the cultural differences and perception, regardless of ethnic, even in Malay culinary traditions, Chinese, Indians, olive oil is considered non-native, quite difficult to comprehend eating oil daily, and of course, from the healthcare perspective, every type of oil is considered harmful, regardless of the type of fatty acid they are composing of. So, one thing that differentiates olive oil from the other oil is that the composition mainly monounsaturated fatty acid and polyunsaturated fatty acid, which, for the physiology perspective, is a different effects compared to saturated fats and trans fat. So those are not well quite understood by the Malaysian market. Another challenges, the third challenges would be the daily intake for health. Now, the previous study established in Spain, in US, in Taiwan, or any place in the globe, the average intake is 20 mil to 40 mil daily. So it's about 4 tablespoons a day. 4 tablespoons a day. That's sinking. Is that common for us? Is that doable? It's not. Quite impossible, right? But it is possible if you are taking the genuine extra virgin olive oil. Because if you are taking the extra virgin olive oil, I would say the low quality oil is going to be humid in smell, rancid, musty and fusty, and when you take it into the mouth feel is very greasy. That is the feel of the extra virgin olive oil. But if you are taking the genuine extra virgin olive oil, the taste is greener, quite floral, and quite sweet, I would say. And there is a very light feel when you put the oil inside your mouth. So the fraud olive oil is market already extremely unpalatable, so leads to the lower adherence, meaning that those who are consuming not genuine extra virgin olive oil will lead to insufficient amount and no health benefits. Alright? And of course, our product, when we did the collaboration with the result, we also found that the optimal dosage should be between 10 to 30 ml daily. Right? So it's quite relevant. So another problem is that the price point. Now, I did mention just now that the optimal dosage that we found are 30 ml daily, right? So if you calculated, if a person, let's say a person commits to take extra virgin olive oil daily for health, every day, 30 ml. So they need to consume a month of how much? Almost a liter. Almost a liter actually. So from the, that's going to bring to the fourth point, the price point. Now, price, expensive or cheap, are relative to the consumer segment. Depending on which segment you fall in, your perception of the price will be different. So, for those who are from M40, below 100 is considered cheap. And they are going to question, is it truly genuine? Is it truly effective? But a bottle that we sell, 250 ml a bottle, is only cost about 99 ringgit. And their first impression is that 99 ringgit per month, is this a genuine product? Because they are thinking a bottle for a month. Instead, they need to buy actually, if they are truly following the dosage, they need to buy 4 bottles a month. So that's going to cost a lot more. So our approach is that to promote the health benefit of the extra virgin olive oil, we sell at the lower price per bottle for the bulk purchase. So now we get back to the track of the digital aspect of our business model. So we have both physical outlet and the digital outlet. So when I talk about the physical and digital outlet, these are the simplest impression that I could put here. But actually, when we talk about physical outlet or physical business model, it involves everything: the flyers, all those conventional marketing that we use, the radio appearances, the TV appearance, what else? The promotion, pop-up counter. We did everything. Those unconventional marketing. And we also have the digital arms, where we have our official website, we have the Shopee and TikTok, everything. We did the FB ads, we did the live streaming, we did the animation, we did everything in our hands to explore the potential of digital approach. So what are the downside and the upside of this approach? So I'm going to compare in 3 aspects. The first aspect will be about the cost. Now, of course, straightforward, if you are talking about the cost, the physical outlet will cost a lot more, and a lot more high commitment. There is a rental commitment for the store, there is a human resource, there are EPF, there are SOTSU and everything, there's a utilities cost, there are outlet makeover. How much does it cost for one outlet makeover? Any guess? At least 200,000 per outlet. So it's going to be cost a lot. And of course, there is a monthly maintenance. In comparison to that, you can compare for digital outlet. We have the digital arms in our company. We just need 2 competitive person in digital aspect. We just need a table, a fast internet, and 2 high-end laptop. That's all it takes. Straightforward, right? So the cost very less. But in terms of monthly expenditure, digital outlet will be very challenging. Why? Because they're always sitting in front of their laptop, right? So how do they reach the consumer? How? Through the ads. Have you seen from the when you're scrolling the Facebook, there is some ads, sponsor everything, right? So there is a cost over there. Can you project that cost? Can you estimate the cost of that ads? Never. It can be here today, it can be here tomorrow, and out there. the next day. So it's a very volatile cost. So that's very challenging in terms of business because you can't make a projection. Even though maybe this month you make a much more sales, but due to that skyrocket cost overnight, you are not gaining any profits. So that's the challenging aspect about the digital approach. That's why many people, when they are focusing on digital, they are targeting a product based on the trends. They ride the trends because it is easy to replace a product according to the trends. So let's say at the moment there is a trend for this product, so they're focusing highly on that part. So they're getting all the profit when the trend already down, they found another product. So it's not suitable for our product in that aspect, in that regards. And of course, if you are talking about cost, you need to consider the repeat customer because you are making profit with the repeat purchase. Repeat purchase meaning that they bought your product without you doesn't need to put higher expenditure to get that sale because they are coming willingly to buy without any effort from your side. So in respect to the compounding purchase, physical outlet will fare better compared to digital outlet. Digital outlet mostly are first time purchase only. The repeat rates is about 20%. Instead, for the physical outlet, the repeat rates is about 70%. Quite different, right? So, the second part is about the efficiency. Of course, when we are talking about efficiency, it depends on what you are trying to achieve. In terms of business, the important part of business are about the visibility and the reach, meaning that we need the customer to aware and understand about our product. If we are focusing only for the awareness or the visibility, digital outlet easily won on this part, easily, right? But the purchase that we made at the digital outlet, in this regard, mostly are impulse purchase. Because have you ever scrolling the TikTok? Everyone have a TikTok, right? Everyone? Anyone here without TikTok? No TikTok, right? So, do you notice that when you are scrolling the TikTok, sometimes you stop because some hook from that video. It can be promotion. It can be the person that you are seeing. Is it a celebrity? It can be the product that you are interested, right? So most of the purchases are made based on the impulse purchasing principle. It's not based on the understanding. Instead, when we talk about olive oil, they need to really understand what are the quality of olive oil and how does it help to their health. They need to understand that first. So that is another problem. And of course, physical outlet commands much more serious buyer and they expect higher price. I think that's going to be easy to be understand because every time, even me myself, when I went to digital outlet, be TikTok, Shopee, I expect a lower price or higher price. Lower price, right? That's expected. But given the price point that I just laid out before, the physical outlet fare better in this part. So I want to the last part about the digital approach is about the brand reputation because there is a principle in sales. When you make a single sale, you make a profit from that sale. If that customer repeat the product, you are gaining the trust, right? If that customer refer your products to their colleagues, friends or relatives, you have built a brand. That's the principle of the business. So in regards to building the brand, physical outlet always have a much stronger standing in this aspect. And of course, a lot of our high-end quality customers from T20 are coming from this aspect instead of digital outlet. Digital outlet is only practical when you want to reach the customer at the first touch. But later on, there is a need for our company, to our staff to follow up how they are progressing with our products and so on and so forth. So, my take-home message is that the physical or digital approach in business highly depends on the products that you are selling and your business model, and which segment of consumer that you are targeting. And of course, in respect to olive oil for health in Malaysia, we need both digital and physical approach. With that, I would like to thank the organizer for inviting us to continue to share a bit of our experience in this program, and thank you.